Now, next up is Nene Leaks on Cynthia Bailey and Crystal Minkoff. Is that her name? Humble Brag podcast. It came out today around noon, and I shared it with my subscribers and my followers over there on Patreon and my Discord, and everybody watched it and everybody thought that it is great. Now, Nene dropped a few jewels during that interview, which from everything I can see is the highest rated interview on the channel. Hold on. I love looking at numbers, and I should is. Cynthia Bailey and I don't know what their podcast is doing on other platforms, but they over here on YouTube. So go and subscribe. Humble brag. They have 13,000 subscribers so far. The Nene Leaks interview has 60,000 views, which is amazing. Now let me look at it. Nene is almost the most popular video on their channel, and they just posted it 12 hours ago. And here goes some from 8 months ago that got just 10,000 views more. So Nene is pretty much taking off on the Humble Brag podcast, because none of their other videos seem to be making numbers. So salute to Nene for that. Now, her conversation, she touched on several different things. She talked about, joining Real Housewives of Atlanta. She talked about her friendship with Cynthia Bailey. She talked about being the blueprint for the Real Housewives. Let's listen to a little bit of it. Y'all know the drill. Copyright disclaimer on Section 107 of the Copyright Act. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. What are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? We are researching. Let's listen to a little bit.
That was our mission, is how to get the check.
So when I started Real Housewives of Atlanta, I think it was 2007, something like that. 2007, 2008, I think, when we first premiered. But remember, we shot a pilot.
And you were part of the first pilot. Were you the first housewife
to be cast in the end, right? And then we shot our pilot, and then they shopped it, and then, had to get picked up, and then we started shooting the first season. So it was kind of almost like 2 years. No, I literally thought I was just doing some, like, seriously, like I'm just doing some, even when I was told my husband at the time, he was like, okay, like, we never just thought of it as anything. Honestly.
Did you have any?
Listen, anybody who has watched Nene any length of time will be entertained at this video, because a lot of it is about Nene, where she started, how she started. She talked about how she got into acting and where she was when she first started filming the Housewives pilot. One thing that I wanted to talk about was the reason why she didn't do Traitors. Now, there has been a lot of speculation that Nene didn't do Traitors because the money wasn't right. Okay. Yeah, I remember I told y'all, don't be believing them Facebook blogs. And here is why she didn't do it. And I think I had already told y'all a little bit of this. I may have told my Patreon, but I'm going to let her say it out of her own mouth.
Many.
Okay, so you were asked to come back you were asked to do Traitors.
Yes, I was asked to do Traitors.
And then we heard that you were not doing it. Yeah. Why did you choose not to do it?
So I was asked to do Traitors. I was really excited about doing it, by the way.
Yeah, we talked about it, but it wasn't public at that time.
Is it public now?
It is. It is.
Because they set the cast.
Yeah, because I think since you didn't do it, I think they took Porsha.
It was Porsha and Tamar.
Oh, it was always those two?
No, I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know, because they did not.
Well, my source said that Porsha was second choice runner-up. Okay, when Nene turned it down, they asked Porsha. She didn't know she was going before Nene had turned it down. And remember, I told you when I was reporting on the divorce that that was the reason why she had submitted paperwork asking if she can appear via Zoom as well, because she had to leave on the 10th or 11th, I believe it was. And the divorce hearing was, around that same time.
Not revealed to me who the cast was going to be.
Yeah, and Porsha didn't tell me either. So I was like, maybe she replaced you.
So I kind of felt like they did get Porsha.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
But why didn't you do it?
I couldn't do Traitors because my son's in the hospital. And he's still in the hospital. And so my son's been in the hospital since May.
Okay.
And she's talking about Brent. As you know, Brent had a heart transplant a couple of months back after suffering a heart attack and a seizure about a year or so ago. And apparently, his body has been rejecting the new heart, and so he's been in the hospital. So
like early May.
When I shot the Nene Leakes show with you, I felt like Brent went in then.
No,
or maybe he was already there.
He was already there.
Okay, wow, that's
he's been there about 2 months.
How's he doing?
He's doing a lot better. He's turned a curve. He has a little while longer to be there, but he's turned a curve.
Okay, and Crystal.
Yeah, I want to be sensitive because I don't.
Can you tell her what Britt is dealing with? If you
Okay,
she doesn't,
Brent,
and our fans may not
when my
know.
husband died, we only had one son, which is my son, Brent. And at 22, he had a stroke and a heart attack. And from the stroke...
I know y'all about to say she got more than one son, but she only had one son with Greg. So keep it to yourself now.
His heart was weak and it never got back strong. So he needed a heart transplant. So he's had a heart transplant since then. And what's happening now is his heart started rejecting. And so they are now trying to stop the rejection.
I see.
Yeah.
Wow,
so
that's a lot on.
Yeah, he's really young.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot on us.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Do they know why he had the stroke to begin with?
They can just kind of assume. One of the things I was told was Brent was starting to become a diabetic. And from what I'm learning, that diabetes trigger a lot of things.
My mom is diabetic and she recently had a mini stroke. She's doing okay now. That was maybe about 3 months ago. And she's definitely full on diabetic for sure.
Yeah.
So I think there may be some truth to that. For
so let me tell you, with Traitors, from the meeting I had, you need to leave by the...
And that's why I always tell you, you never know what people are going through. I tell y'all that all the time. When y'all be sitting there going, Nene, Nene, she ain't doing what she's supposed to be doing. Yeah. Well, she got a lot on her plate. Okay, she already lost a husband and her son's been sick. It just be a lot going on. I feel her.
June 10th, June 11th, something like that. I'm so glad I said no. Because, in my mind, I kept thinking maybe by June 10th, Brent will be much better, just thinking that in my head. But my fear was committing and then having to go back to them and say, I can't do it.
Right.
So that was never going to work.
Yeah.
Brent was very sick, like very sick. It was no way I could commit to it. And you have to leave to go out of the country.
Yeah.
Right?
So they filmed Traitors in Scotland. Okay.
Right. And so I was like, damn, like this is going to be like my chance to do all these great things and come back like really strong, right? And they were talking to me on the phone, like telling me, we want you to do this and this, and this is going to happen. And there was no way I could do it. Yeah.
So as you can see, she had her reasons for not doing it, and it wasn't about the money. I think she about to say that, or did she say it? Let's see.
Immediately I hung up the phone and knew when I hung up the phone that I couldn't do it.
Well, I can say this, and I was excited for you to do it.
Yeah.
Because you're just good ass TV.
Yeah.
And I would love to see you in that space. Because I've never really seen you do a
competition
show like that.
And I wanted to check too, let's be understanding.
Oh, no, we always want to check. We always want to check.
I saw on the blogs where a blogger had said, Nene did not take Traitors because the check wasn't big enough. I was like, no.
That's not true.
No, I got the check.
You got the check.
Yeah. I couldn't do it.
Well, you know what? As mothers, I get it. There's no way. Like,
100%.
I would have gone either.
No.
So another interesting thing that Nene talked about with Cynthia was, she talked about the babies. They were talking about how, those baby memes that have been circulating around it, social media, how that's been going viral. And she was saying that with her memes and her taglines and everything, she wished that she could get a cut of that. Let's listen to the clip.
Is your favorite? You are, I think, the most when it comes to memes and you call them GIFs, right?
GIFs, GIFs. Oh, they're GIFs.
GIFs always GIFs. I knew I can't do an episode without saying something wrong. Okay, GIFs.
I don't know if they're GIFs or GIFs.
Okay, the GIFs. Y'all know what we're talking about. GIFs.
Yes.
I call them GIFs.
You have, I think, quite a few.
Probably what is your most?
Well, that's pretty much what I was getting to. What is your favorite GIF, meme? What is your favorite housewife tagline?
My favorite housewife tagline.
Let's start there first. Yeah.
Probably I don't keep up with the Joneses.
I am the Joneses. That was a good one. That was what season was that? That was first season.
That was like first season. First and second season. Tagline. Yeah. It was first season.
And did you write?
Yeah, Crystal is from, I think, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, I believe.
Did you guys write your taglines or did they give them to you?
Mostly I feel like Andy kind of chose. Well, at least he chose mine.
Back then they did. Yeah, they were very involved with our taglines.
Yeah,
got it.
Yeah, they were very. Are they not involved anymore?
Well, my first one they gave me. I know how to walk into a room and be seen, which I couldn't stand. I who don't know how to walk into a damn room and be seen. Like, oh, this is a great tagline. I know how to walk into a room and be seen. Who the hell don't? So after that, I was like, I'm gonna need, if I make it back to the next season, I'm gonna need to be a little more involved in the creative.
Right.
Okay. They would give me like 4 or 5.
What was yours? They would give me a couple. They always chose the one they liked.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, let me move on. Another one I wanted to talk about before I move on to the next topic was the Peter Thomas, because this was a key. Okay, when Cynthia started asking Nene about Peter Thomas, and she was like, "You're friends with Peter, aren't you?" And he was like, "No, I ain't. We're frenemies." Hold on, let's listen.
Peter, so
don't try it. I am not friends with Peter like that. Let me be clear, honey.
I'm gonna drink my drink.
Peter and I are frenemies.
I know you guys go back and forth.
No, honey, let me just give you the real truth, honey. Peter and I are frenemies, and Cynthia's ex-husband, and we have been frenemies for years.
Okay.
Cynthia was trying it, honey. Why Cynthia bring up Peter? Oh, child, Cynthia must have been jealous of Nene's friendship with Peter.
Right. And so this is nothing.
You guys were definitely frenemies when we were married.
Even when Cynthia was married to him and I were frenemies.
Are you more in the friend now or the enemies?
I might be a little bit more in the friend zone right now. He texted me the other day, actually.
Yeah.
It's probably like 3 or 4 days ago he texted me. But girl, he'll turn
Shout out to Peter. I just talked to him the other day, too.
on me in 2 seconds. It doesn't matter. Hey, Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll turn on me. But I have talked to him, and actually he came on my podcast.
Yeah, you told me that.
So
there you go. You know, Peter must be coming up soon on the podcast. She interviewed him a few weeks ago. Peter actually let that cat out the bag because he did a video and then he deleted it where he was saying he just left Nene Leakes podcast. So
I hate those things are happening.
Yeah.
You know, I can't wait to see him on the other side.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I'm glad that he is just taking accountability and just getting it over with so he can come back and live his life.
Yeah. And he did.
Yeah.
Even on my podcast, he spoke about it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
can respect the way he owned that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know,
You're a totally different woman outside of being Peter's wife. You know, when you was Peter's wife, it was totally a different thing.
Yeah.
Girl, because that Peter was something, girl.
Yeah.
This is the shade that I live for right here because I love hearing, like, you know, little behind the scenes tea, because you know Nene always say that y'all don't know who Cynthia really is, okay? And Cynthia, you know, seems like, you know, Miss, you know, nice girl in public, but in private she could really be a mean girl at times. And then a lot of y'all think Nene is really a mean girl, but it's really the opposite. I tell y'all, Nene is really, you know, kind of quiet or whatever. You know, she can be boisterous and she funny as shit, but at the same time, she has a soft side to her, you know, kind of like Peter, what they were saying about Peter. Now, here it is. She about to call out Cynthia.
What was she like?
Peter was like, you know, when we first started the show, the husbands were not as involved in the show until Peter came on the show.
When Peter came, they were like,
Peter
okay,
came
let's
and
go.
lit it up with everybody. He was over that fight with everybody.
Cynthia like?
Well, don't turn this on me. We talking about Nene.
My friend over here, Cynthia.
Well, Cynthia and Peter were. Well, I actually thought Peter was mean. So this is not a secret because I tell him this on my podcast, and I think he already knows. I thought he was.
Now he already knows. That's funny.
Mean, and I thought Cynthia was more.
He wasn't actually mean. He was just very direct. And there was no. He didn't sugarcoat things. He came out very raw on the Housewives.
But once I really got into Cynthia and Peter and really was in their household and we double dated and did all that stuff
we spent
together,
a lot of time together.
I really realized that Cynthia was the heart.
Cynthia do interrupt a lot, but Nene interrupt a lot too. So they just interrupting each other, child. They just talking over each other.
All right, well, not Peter. Yeah. I really realized that Cynthia was actually over there.
She was the problem.
Yeah, she was the one over there beating up Peter.
No.
I was like, girl,
50 Cent.
Not Cynthia was beating up Peter, honey. Cynthia was over there with the DV. Now we got to call the popo on Cynthia.
Is alive and well. I'm just saying, but for the most part, I do choose peace. But it takes a very strong woman to be with Peter Thomas.
Well, honey,
100%.
when I saw Cynthia gather Peter one day, I walked out in peace. I said, honey, I never have to worry about my friend. I know she done beat Peter up. I ain't got to worry about Peter doing a thing to Cynthia.
Like, poor Peter.
Cynthia had Peter in there in tears.
Listen.
I walked out Cynthia house at peace. I said, girl, go on, call me tomorrow.
Well, listen, I think, talking about misconceptions, I think that's one of my biggest ones. People think I'm a punk. They take my kindness for weakness. I'm like, look, I choose peace. Be clear. Now, if it ain't gonna be peace, we can talk about some things.
We can go somewhere. Right.
We can go somewhere with it.
Listen, I believe it. Not Peter got his ass. Y'all so funny. And Cynthia was taller than him too, child. Cynthia probably put him in a headlock and told him to go and sit down somewhere.
Oh no, we go somewhere with it.
When I saw Peter in that corner, honey, with them red eyes, I said, Cynthia had beat the brakes off of Peter.
Listen,
honey. I remember there was this clip going around where they thought that you had hit Peter in the eye after something. It was, he had some kind of like his eyes get kind of like red or runny or something.
Yeah.
And it was something happened at bar one, and he ended up, he loves to get on a video and start talking.
Yeah.
And he ain't even looking around and fixing and nothing.
Right.
And he's just on there talking, and people are looking like his eyes red. Cynthia to beat him up, and I looked at the video. I looked at the video, and I was like, okay, so I know it's his. Whatever is happening with his eyes. But I was very okay. I said, Cynthia definitely can handle Peter. I used to be concerned. I was like, is Peter over here killing Cynthia?
Yeah.
Honey, when I got over there and seen Cynthia gather Peter, I was like, okay, cool.
I never punched him in the eye.
No,
just cleared it up.
No, she did not punch him in the eye, but she cleared the room, honey.
No, Peter is like yourself, very strong personality,
but he's really not. He does have a side to him though that is actually soft.
Very much so. Yeah. But
they talked about Peter a little too long now. I'm like, is there listen, I don't know. They both feel like they got like love for Peter. It's too much love for Peter in the room.
We'll say again, it takes a very strong woman to be with someone like him.
Yeah,
because he will definitely, run the show. Literally. And
well, baby, he didn't write it with you.
No, it was a true partnership. I will say that.
Because people really thought that. People really thought
that's a huge
they really thought that Peter was over there running Cynthia, just running all over. I said,
like people will feel sorry for me. They're like, why are you with him? Oh my God. Like they would send me like prayer oil and stuff. I was like, he's not that bad. You guys, like, I don't know if we're truly compatible at this point, but he actually it's not. But I always give old Peter Thomas flowers to him because he is truly the reason I even moved to Atlanta in the first place.
Yes,
and he was very polarizing.
Yes, he was. Yes,
without question.
And I'm sure Greg thanks him because he made sure that all the men got a check.
Oh, absolutely,
some kind of check.
Absolutely,
yeah, because they were literally. They weren't being paid.
Remember, Peter was the one to make sure the guys went to watch What Happens Live for the first time. They couldn't do nothing with Peter on the show. Peter was doing the most.
Wait, did the men, you guys actually got paid? The guys got paid?
They didn't get like salary.
That she comparing it to her husband. Like, wait a minute, the guys got paid,
but they got paid to like come to the reunion and stuff.
And they couldn't wait to get there.
And they did take trips. They took the international.
And they would come on the trip.
Wow.
What was your favorite trip?
I always tell everybody that we had the best time in Anguilla.
Anguilla?
Yeah.
Why did I think you would? I thought you were going to say South Africa because we had a good time.
We did have a good time in South Africa.
Okay. I want y'all to watch it. Okay, so I ain't gonna play too much of it, but there was another one where let me see. Where is it? Would Nene come back to RHOA? Is this the one y'all want me to play? Where Cynthia was asking her, will she ever come back? Let's listen.
I will say, as the creator of the friend contract, the friend role has evolved over the years.
Yeah, I like the friend role.
I had. Would you ever, first of all, would you ever want to ever see yourself coming back to Housewives? And would you be even open to being a friend of the show?
I felt like I was a friend one season.
You was?
Yeah, I remember the season.
I think she was a friend. That season when she came late, she showed up at Jamaica with Kim Fields and them because she had missed like 3, 4, 5 episodes. Now, Cynthia says she was never a friend, but I think I don't know that she was a friend. She got her peach late. I can't remember. Y'all let me know.
Season where we went to,
I feel like
I want to say Phaedra, Kim Fields in Jamaica. We were in Jamaica.
You were not a friend. You were.
I was a friend.
Holding a peach.
I remember that because me and Nene been cool for a long time, and I remember talking to Nene, and she hadn't got her contract and stuff yet, and she had just this so shady. She had just got her nose done, and I remember we was on the phone, and she was like, "Had I known I wasn't gonna get my contract, I would have waited to get my nose done." It was like she said, I wouldn't have been in a rush, and so yeah, she didn't have a contract, and so she didn't come back immediately. It was like on. Like they brought her back during the trip.
And all
I can't
of the
remember.
promos. Nene, you were never a friend of the damn show.
I thought I was a friend one time.
Well, you thought wrong.
Okay.
You were never a friend.
Honest to God, listen, let me see.
You were never a friend.
I'm not mad at the friend role.
Okay.
I just think if I just just answering your question, if I were to ever step back on that platform and would I be a friend, I really kind of feel like, I don't know, that I would be a friend.
I don't think she would be a friend. Nene feels like she's bigger than the friend contract. I can see Cynthia. I can see why Cynthia would be a friend because Cynthia's even keeled. She's always been a friend role. She's never been that dramatic in the season. I just don't see Nene playing a friend role and being able to stay in a friend's place. You know what I'm saying? I don't see it.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I would have to look at it kind of like, I like the friend role. I like the capacity. I don't have a problem with it at all. But I just would think, Nene, season 1, the first housewife thing, and I'm a friend.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. This is where it works for me, for someone that came on season 3.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that
we weren't comparing you, Cynthia, but go ahead.
Don't have to bring my family on the show.
Okay.
I enjoy that I don't have to bring
I love that
my man on the show.
I love that.
I literally just get to show up.
I love
myself.
that idea.
The network was pretty gracious about working around my schedule. I was able to still do other shows.
Yeah, I love that.
TV projects.
And you're not as committed to hell.
I'm not.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work being a full-time housewife.
It is a lot of work.
After doing it, we both did it for over a decade.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And I could never really.
Thank you, Michaela. Michaela said season 8, Nene was a friend.
They do a bunch of other things. When I was filming as a housewife, my whole brain
was housewife.
Everything was housewives. And we talked about this, Crystal. Like even when I would come home, I was never present because I was always thinking about what's going to happen the next day. What do we shoot next day? What am I going to wear?
Me too.
All of that stuff.
Me too.
I haven't been present in a long time with my family.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I've been really trying to make up for lost time with is actually spending real time with Noelle because we were filming since she was 8 years old.
Yeah.
And I was there. My body was there. When I tell you spiritually and mentally, I was not there. I just was not there. I couldn't figure out how to do both at the same time.
It's a lot.
So it's been great for me to just come in, to just kind of stay connected to the show, the cast. I mean, I feel like when you work this hard and give so much to a show, it's nice to still be able to, be a part of the platform in some way and still leverage it in some way because our fans, they still love the OGs.
Yeah.
And it's nice.
So, I'm not going to, run it in the ground, but y'all should go watch it. It's about an hour and a half long. It's over on the Humble Brag YouTube channel. Okay. It's a very, very good interview. We learn a lot. Crystal was there. Crystal didn't share much. Crystal was asking questions. I don't think that, it was Crystal's first time meeting Nene, and I don't think she even knew much about Nene. She even asked Nene some about the question she asked that I thought was weird was is it weird seeing your husband on prior seasons, like almost like Nene was divorced and then Nene had to tell her like Greg ain't here no more, you know what I'm saying? So that was interesting. I'm like, didn't nobody tell her that Greg was gone, but other than that, it was a good interview. Really it was literally Cynthia and Nene pretty much talking over each other and Crystal was just there. You said Crystal be praying on people. What I don't know nothing about that lady, but y'all should go watch it.